Welcome to the Crown's Codex. I'm your host, Levi, and this podcast is for young men. Young men who know they're meant for more, but don't necessarily have the right guidance. Each episode, I bring on an expert that's actually put in the hours, done the work, who can help you build wealth, further develop relationships, overall help you become a more stronger, grounded man. There's no fluff or gatekeeping or anything like that. It's just a knowledge that might have cost you hundreds, if not thousands. So if you get any value from this, please show some love, subscribe, drop a comment in below, as these experts are literally coming on here, giving up their time for free. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Basically, for those who don't know you and all that kind of stuff, tell us a bit about how you got into your line of work.
So I'm a naturopath, and I actually got into my line of work when I had my daughter. So she had really bad eczema as a baby. So I went to all the doctors, and they kind of were like, bathe her once a day, bathe her once a week, don't bathe her at all, use this cream, use that cream. Nothing actually helped. I found they didn't even ask questions. They didn't even look at her. It was like, you're in and out with like quite poor advice. So I went to a naturopath, and we sat there for an hour, and she was asking all these questions, and I was like, why does this even matter? But yeah, then she gave a recommendation, and within a week her eczema was better. So I was like, this is amazing. I need to know more. So I got my curiosity going, and went to university, studied, and now this is what I do, and I love it.
Yeah. Did you go?
So I went to Endeavour, based in Perth.
So
I did a Bachelor of Health Science in Naturopathy. I do it in WA. Endeavour's pretty much the only university you can do it at. The quality of education was amazing.
That experience, was it exactly what you thought it would be, or
way harder?
Harder.
I was thinking like, herbs are cool. We're going to play with herbs all day, and it's going to be real. We're going to make teas and tinctures, and maybe in my mind I thought it was going to be a little bit hippy dippy. But it's very science based. It's very academic. It was actually very intense. So I had to relearn how to learn. Learn how to kind of navigate the intensity of university. So it was good, because modern day naturopathy, I think there's a little bit of a stigma that naturopaths are like hippy dippy. And there's no that at all. It's all very science based. Modern day clinical naturopathy is very, very different. So you have to know how to read pathology, you have to know how to interpret bloods, you have to know, do herbs interact with medications, all that kind of stuff.
A big thing, because that was actually going to be one of my questions, is I guess that stigma and all that kind of stuff. But I want to touch back. You said you had to relearn the way you learn. Can you explain a little bit about that?
So I guess I was a little bit older when I went to uni. So I was 24, and in that time I'd done a lot of travel, and education and academics wasn't really at the forefront for me. So kind of going, having quite a bit of time from high school to uni, and the caliber of like education that is required at university. It's like I probably spent the first year and a half learning how to, write reports and do your references and all that kind of stuff. And so it was like that extra level of workload, just learning how to do your work. Not to put anybody off or anything. It is amazing.
No, that's actually a big thing. It's actually learning the way you learn.
And that's to touch on that as well. I guess there's different styles of learning as well. So I'm a kinesthetic learner, so I learn by doing. So I actually felt like being in a classroom for the first 3.5 years, just having people talk to me or reading in a book was really challenging. But as soon as I got to student clinic, it clicked, and I was like, oh, I get it now. This is easy.
So I was similar in school. I wasn't really into school. Never read a book and all that, and then I got into this, and now I've read so many books, and I was literally for an interview, pen and paper, I'm like, what am I doing? And that's cool. So today, the whole episode will be around hormones, and it's in terms of a lot of things for men, and especially young men, is performance. We want to go out there, get stuff done. How do you think hormones, I guess, play in that role? And I guess young men may be overlooking or
hormones. So in particular testosterone. Obviously, that's what testosterone does. It creates drive. It creates drive, competition, novelty seeking as well. So all that kind of
seeking.
yeah. So novelty seeking and like risk taking activities, but not
Okay.
necessarily in a negative way. So
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
for this interview, like which might be a little bit risky, like will I make it, will I not, or like for yourself, like I'm going to do this podcast,
Yeah,
will I make it, will I not?
yeah.
It's a risk taking activity. You don't know if it's going to succeed, and that's kind of testosterone really drives that,
Yeah.
like ambition, drive, all that kind of thing. Yeah. When it comes to performance, obviously testosterone is key for that, but I think with performance, it's a really interesting word because there's so many more layers to it. There's that hormonal component to it, obviously, but like that psychosocial component to it as well. So it's like from a mental health perspective or a psychology perspective, like what's your view on performance? What does it mean to you as a person? Like, are you performing for like external validation to feel good about yourself, or are you performing because it's like you're working towards a set of values that actually mean something? Yeah.
What hormones for, I guess, young guys matter the most?
Definitely testosterone. DHEA is another one to look at as well. So that's an adrenal hormone.
Okay.
Cortisol, because cortisol is important. That's our stress hormone. But it's also, it can be, anything that's too much or too little can be unhelpful as well. So if our cortisol's really high, because we're stressed to the eyeballs, that's going to be detrimental. But if it's too low, that's going to be detrimental as well. So I'd say like the key ones: testosterone, DHEA, cortisol.
Can you explain that second one? I've never.
DHEA.
Yeah, I've never even heard of that.
So DHEA is a hormone that comes from our adrenals. So that our adrenals produce our stress hormones and some of our sex hormones. So DHEA is really important for our energy, really important for our drive, really important for our up and go. So it's the same with women as well. So again, if we've been under long-term stress, DHEA will be low, we'll be fatigued, we'll be flat, we'll be low mood, that type of thing. So it kind of ties in with the testosterone as well. So those two are really important to look at.
Are those the most important for young guys?
That's a very good question. So if we were to kind of swing it back to performance, that's what the testosterone in particular is going to be the key for that. But what are your thoughts on that?
Like, I'm confused in like why that's such a. Is it like from a biological perspective that we need it, or is it like it's just because we're male, it's just more dominant? Like, I'm not too sure why.
Like why testosterone is so important?
Why it's such a big thing for us? Because I hear a lot about it, but I just don't really understand it. That makes sense.
So I guess with men have a lot more testosterone receptors in their brain, in their body. So the body has been designed to be more receptive to testosterone. So this is what kind of helps with our I'm not a man, but with male cognitive function, male drive, libido, with all that type of stuff. So from a physiological point of view, it's really important because the male body has been designed to have such high levels of testosterone. So when they're low, that's when a male tends to just not feel his best, and so it puts you at risk of osteoporosis, so poor bone density, like muscle loss, so you're not able to kind of have like good muscle mass or get gains in the gym, fatigue, mental health issues. So so low levels are quite catastrophic for men's mental and physical health.
I was just gonna tap into that, like so if they're like, let's say they're depleted of all these hormones, what would that person kind of look like in their day-to-day life?
So typically what I see in clinic, it's usually like the flags that I look for is extreme fatigue. That's doesn't matter how much you sleep, you just cannot like beat that fatigue. Low mood, low libido, pretty much non-existent libido. Maybe some like lack of motivation, and just kind of from like even with the way that they hold themselves, it's really kind of like closed in and shut down rather than kind of like confident and ready to take on the world, because good levels of testosterone do create that confidence in men. So they're the main ones that I look for. Poor muscle mass, often poor muscle recovery. So if you exert yourself at the gym or with like a physical job and you find it takes you like days to recover, that's something to look at for low testosterone.
How do you distinguish between like your hormones and just like I've had a terrible sleep and that's why I'm motivated, or it's my mindset, or that kind of stuff?
It's a really good question. Because because all those things could be because you're maybe depressed, or you're like you're a shift worker, all that kind of thing. So that's where kind of how we're touching on how naturopathy isn't hippy-dippy anymore. Let's get some bloods done. These are the bloods to ask your doctor for. As a naturopath, I actually look at pathology differently as well. I look at optimal ranges. So where is this person going to feel their best, as opposed to averages, which is what reference ranges are on our blood tests. So that's kind of when I'm like, I feel like there might be a testosterone thing going on. Go to the doctor, let's get it tested. If it is low, cool, we're going to treat that. If it isn't, what else do we need to look at? Do we need to work on like nervous system, mental health, sleep, all that kind of stuff, which in all honesty we have to anyway. All the basics of health have to be looked at before we can kind of get anywhere else.
Just like in your like day-to-day life, have you ever seen someone where like, I guess they don't have like the best mindset or not feeling the best, and you kind of know that's the reason, but they're not aware.
Self-sabotage?
Yeah.
All the time. All the time. Yeah. So I'd actually say that that's probably the biggest barrier to people getting better is self-sabotage. Yeah. There's like, obviously maybe through what, they've navigated in life, there's kind of that subconscious kind of behavior that they don't even know they're doing, where they'll be like, I can't do that because of this, this, and this. But it's like, well, yeah, you can, because there's always ways around these obstacles to do the work and feel your best. You know what I mean? All the time.
Those moments.
I feel like because we're all human, and I've got my my thing. So I'm empathetic to it. So it's about meeting that person where they're at. So some people, they're like biohackers, and we're going to do all the things. You can tell me what I need to do, and I'm going to do it to the T. And some people, it's like, okay, there's quite a few mental barriers here. So what do we need to start with? Is it like just one thing? Is it like is the one thing just having breakfast in the morning? You know what I mean? So I just kind of meet them where they're at. It's like once they do that one thing, it's like, cool, let's bring in the next thing. And they do that one thing until it's just part of their life, and you just keep building it up, and then over time that does create substantial change.
So just like baby steps.
You just meet people where they're at.
From your experience, what are like the biggest things in like modern life that disturb our hormones? Especially as a young guy.
This is like my favorite question. So there's a lot of things. So probably the biggest thing for men's hormones is something called xenoestrogens. So these are environmental estrogens. So obviously estrogens are healthy for a male, but only in very small levels. When we're exposed to these environmental estrogens, our men's estrogen levels increase. Testosterone decreases. So we get environmental estrogens from synthetic fragrance. So like your colognes, like washing powders, soaps, shampoos, candles, like all that type of thing.
Really?
So synthetic fragrance is catastrophic for men's hormones.
Wow.
We get it from plastics. So if you store your food in plastic and heat it up in the microwave, all those kind of environmental estrogens leach into your food, and then you're eating it.
See, I don't use the microwave at work.
You already knew that one?
I always tell them I don't like to use the microwave. But I don't have like the scientific backing. I just say it's a gut feeling.
So you got to trust your gut. You've got to trust your gut, so you know.
I'll use like the hot box at work and all that, but never the microwave.
Your hormones are going to be on point. So they're the two biggest things, is like heating your food in plastic, and the kind of synthetic fragrance, which is easier said than done, right? Because it's everywhere. So if you want to get these things out of your life, it's like, okay, as I use up, I don't know, this like soap, I'll replace it with something that's either fragrance free or fragrance with essential oils. And so you kind of just replace things as you use them up.
So these things have like, I guess, like properties that we're unaware of that literally affect our hormones.
Quite significantly.
What's like the biggest one that like we're unaware of?
The fragrance. So stuff we use every day, like deodorants, cologne, that kind of thing. Definitely the plastics, like I mentioned. Heavy metals is another one to look at as well.
So the fragrance, like that's a surprising one, because that's just like extremely common.
Everywhere.
How does that work? Like, how does that actually? Does it like just because it seeps into our skin, or? So even when we're smelling, like if you put on a cologne and you're smelling it, obviously that does come into the bloodstream through you kind of through the lungs into the bloodstream, and impacts your hormones in that way. Putting it on your skin, like it does absorb through the skin. They are the main pathways. It's just like through the nose into the bloodstream, through the skin into the bloodstream. Can it work in a good way or in a bad way, or is it just bad all the time?
That's actually a really good question. So I would say no, just because of the nature of the compounds. They're quite strongly estrogenic.
Yeah.
From a hormone point of view, I do use plant estrogens. So plants contain something called phytoestrogens.
Yeah.
And they are weakly estrogenic. So their impact on the body isn't as strong. So I'll use it for women. I've never used phytoestrogens for men because typically they're ticking along all right with the amount of estrogen they have. I can use it therapeutically if it's a plant-based compound but not an environmental-based compound, just because they're so strong.
They're so strong.
Yeah.
I saw I think it was like a TikTok, and that it was like the biggest contributors to mental health. Sleep was one of them.
Yeah.
Number one, and it trumped all the other ones that I thought would be number one.
Well, what ones were you thinking?
Isolation, negative self-talk, and all that. I thought those would be like environment and all that would be like the top ones, but it actually said sleep was one of the biggest ones.
Yeah, and I think it's multifaceted as well, right? So I agree, that those factors are important. But I guess if we don't sleep well, it exacerbates those existing factors. So when we sleep, our brain goes through 4 stages of the sleep cycle.
Yeah.
When we don't sleep long enough, or we have broken sleep, we're not able to circle through those sleep cycles adequately. So the brain's not able to kind of, move the information around, lock that information around, or clean itself properly either. So if it's not able to clean itself properly, then we get neural inflammation, and that can create issues as well. So that's when we get that exacerbation of depression and anxiety from poor sleep. Shift work is pretty catastrophic as well.
Yeah.
Being in a mining town, it's something that I have to work with a lot with my clients because, it is what it is. You're doing this for good money, but there's drawbacks to it as well. So how can we mitigate the impact of that shifting of the circadian rhythm from day shift and night shift, and how it impacts sleep?
When I first started working in the mines, doing the night shift, that was like a difficult adjustment. And I remember listening to podcasts and researchers, and they pretty much just say, it's so bad, just avoid it.
I know.
Which is not what you want to hear. But in like the simplest terms, what is like a hormone, and like what does that do?
That is such a good question. That's going to take me back to uni, actually.
Yeah.
So it is a steroid hormone. So hormones are something that create a physiological response in the body. Okay. So, obviously with like testosterone, that's going to create a physiological response in regards to muscle growth, bone density, behavior. But different hormones do different things. So vitamin D is a hormone. Obviously estrogen is a hormone. So they all have different jobs. So vitamin D is really important for immune health, really important for cognitive function. Really.
So it's like a messenger for the body.
Basically, good way to put it.
And
actually,
what sets it off? It's just like everyday life just triggers it, and then it sends a message.
That's a really good question. So I think it might be easy to answer that question with an example. So cortisol is a hormone.
Yeah.
Cortisol, is considered the stress hormone, but it does other things as well. So cortisol is important for our sleep-wake cycle, so our circadian rhythm.
Yeah.
So what sets off cortisol is we wake up in the morning, we get morning sunlight in our eyes, because morning sunlight with the direction of the sun has a very specific UV wave. So that triggers a response in the body where it's like, okay, cool, we're awake now.
Yeah.
So cortisol starts to rise, and cortisol, as it rises, that's it gives us our alertness, our kind of like our sharpness, our ability to kind of do our things throughout the day. And then when we get into the evening, we get the sunset in our eyes, and again, the UV light's different with the sunset, so it gives our body a different signal to be like, okay, cool, we're coming into nighttime now. So cortisol dips down, and then melatonin starts to rise. So in regards to signals, there is we've evolved with our environment, right? So environmental signals are key to what our hormones do.
With the messages, could they ever be like false? Like with the stress one, you get triggered and all that, but it's actually, you're not actually in threat or all that kind of stuff.
Good question, actually. So I think with modern day living, and I think cortisol is a really good one to use as an example. Originally, back before modern living, we were all living in this light pollution in these communities and modern day technology and that kind of thing. It was very much like your fight or flight, like your cortisol stress response is like, there's a saber-toothed tiger. That's going to get us. We need to either run or hide. And so that's a really normal response to an environmental stimulus. Whereas now in like our modern day world, it's like I have a deadline tomorrow and I haven't finished, and like now I'm stressed with the eyeballs. But it's like a constant stress. Like I've always got deadlines because of like the nature of my job, or I don't know, like social media. It's like I'm looking at my social media and like that's stressing me out with like the news of what's going on in the world. And, do you know what I mean? So it's like these constant stresses that are kind of thrown at us from all different angles. That does create a negative response in the body because this hormone is kind of elevated, and then that impacts our mental health.
I kind of think of it as like where I go from that. It's like our bodies are old, but we're in like that modern world. Like you said, the tiger and all that, but we just replaced it with all these technologies and all this stuff. What's it like? Because like especially in this day, everything's go go go. What's that like long term? Like let's say with the stress, what would happen to someone if they, I guess, continue and not really address it?
Yeah. So what I see all the time and what I've gone through myself, going through uni, not to put anybody off uni, but it was intense. Is when you're under like long-term chronic stress, you end up going into adrenal fatigue. So again, adrenals are endocrine glands that produce our stress hormones. So it's like these glands have been working really hard to produce these hormones because there's this like continuous perceived threat. To the point that it's like they're not able to produce the hormone as well as they could. And so that's when we go into adrenal fatigue. So then instead of having that nice cortisol, cortisol rises in the morning, then peaks in the midday and then drops in the evening. We go from it being just like really high all day to just not even doing anything. So then it's just kind of coasting along and it's not able to actually do its role. So then again, you get like extreme fatigue, the mental health side of things. So that's where the like depression and low mood can come in. And things like that.
One thing I wanted to touch base is, especially a smaller question for me, was overtraining because we've done fighting and fight camps, and it's like 3 months are pretty extensive, but you also do like the job as well. So and an 84-hour week, then you're gonna train and then lack of sleep and all that kind of stuff. I know a lot of young guys have also experienced that. What some of the things we should be aware of?
I'm curious, when you kind of come out the other side of that, do you feel pretty burnt out and fatigued, or do you feel good?
But I'd say in between, there's times where I'm definitely like burnt out, like literally like as soon as I touch the bed, just out cold. It kind of goes up and down. I'm not too sure, but
because it's an interesting example because did you say it's a 3 month
period? It's like once you got a fight, it's usually like 12 weeks of just preparation for that, and you just live and breathe fighting, and then also you got to work to to live and all that. But
so that's a good example actually, because it's probably maintainable because it is 3 months. But it wouldn't be maintainable for any longer than that. It is still a massive stress on the body because you're working full time and long shifts, night shift, that kind of thing, which is already a stress on the body. Then you're adding in intensive training, which is very stressful on the body. So definitely looking at supporting like your adrenals, 100%. So with supporting the adrenals, that's supporting the cortisol. There's like herbs you can do for that. There's nutrients that you can do for that. And that's really important to make sure that you're functioning at your best. And then you come out of that still functioning your best, and you're not kind of like, I put all my energy into that 3 months and now I've got to recover like for the next 6 months afterwards. Do you know what I mean? But it's kind of interesting as well because that kind of stuff actually boosts testosterone in the short term as well. So training for a fight and that kind of thing, competition, the anticipation of competition spikes testosterone in men. So I don't know, I'm actually curious, do you find that when you're anticipating an upcoming fight that you kind of feel a little bit charged and you're kind of like your performance is better on the day of the fight?
Just even like the whole like week in that is just you feel very alert, very wary, and it's like a lot of emotions, like you're excited. It's very high energy, I'd say, throughout all of it. As soon as you get in there, it kind of just, I guess, peaks, and it's just like to the point where you're not really thinking. You just kind of shut off and you're just fighting. But on that, it's kind of, I think maybe last year I wanted to do a fight in December, and my coach ended up before December to fight. So it was literally a whole year of fighting. So you mentioned like it was be good for like 12 weeks. What about a whole year?
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
you definitely need adrenal support. You also need to look at other things as well. So you need to look at your thyroid. So the thyroid is a gland that sits in our throat. That's basically our entire metabolism.
Yeah.
And that can start to not function as well as it should.
Yeah.
So if the adrenals start to bomb out, the thyroid tends to follow.
Can you explain what that is?
The thyroid?
No, the adrenal.
Yeah, the adrenals. So adrenals are glands that sit above our kidneys that produce our stress hormones. So
Okay,
that's the cortisol.
one. Yeah, that produces.
So that's the cortisol. That's the
yeah.
DHEA.
Yeah.
And some sex hormones as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Does like the hormones affect like a man's mood and like self-worth?
Using your example, because you're doing it in the sense of you're fighting and competition and anticipation of competition is really good for testosterone. You get that, you naturally get a peak leading up to it.
Yeah.
I would actually think it would be really good for your confidence, particularly if you win. Have you found that in your experience?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And whatever your passion is, it's going to make you feel confident anyway, but you're getting that additional boost from the testosterone leading up to that type of activity. And then winning is when you win a competition as a man, like testosterone just like shoots through the roof, and that's definitely going to drive your confidence as well.
Does it work the opposite if I lose?
Yeah.
Or opposite, straight down?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It'll pick back up again, but you will get that drop. Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
I don't know. Have you noticed that in yourself?
Oh, well, I just think that like I love like just competing and all that, and like my family's known for like even just video games when we lose. Like we played Monopoly, went back for Christmas Monopoly, and it just ended up yelling and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, got very
we hate. Yeah, my family hates losing, and I've kind of adopted that.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially like I think if the stakes are really high and I guess it's really meaningful, I have noticed like a huge drop. But some people think it's keep your head high and all that. But maybe I'm just being a sook or what that kind of stuff. But
I mean, it doesn't. I mean, psychologically, it doesn't feel great to kind of not have achieved in something that you've worked really hard for. But then having that little drop in testosterone is not going to help either. It's going to kind of amplify those feelings a little bit. But it's all very transient. It's not going to last forever.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't last forever. What happens if, like, let's say, I know a lot of guys doing like they call it monk mode, where they try and build really good habits, and sometimes these habits are just like run a marathon every day. Like they're too extreme, and what ends up is they comp that loss. Can that have any effect on anything or
on hormones?
Yeah, they had that big drop in hormones. What happens if that's like repeated?
So can you explain that to me again, just so I understand the question?
Yeah, for sure. So, like a lot of young guys trying to build habits and all that kind of stuff, but they tend to, I guess they don't have the capacity to do so. They end up, failing and not, I guess, building these good habits. I know, like, and then I say I go KC, I tend to feel low. Like what's going on in that moment and what happens if I continue down that?
Yeah, so that's a really interesting question. I actually think that's more of a less of a hormone thing and more of a self-sabotage thing. So what kind of stories do we have running in the background, and we get these stories just through navigating life, right? So it might be when I was a kid, maybe my parents did something in a certain way, so that's created a certain belief that runs in the background. So it's maybe I was never praised as a kid, so like I feel like I'm not good enough, and then so when I want to change my habits and eat healthy, and then I kind of go to Macca's, and then it's like, I've been to Macca's once this week, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, and then you kind of fall off the bandwagon. So I think it's more of a mindset thing, and like the experience we collect through the processes of like living our lives.
How would someone distinguish between the two? Because, like, when, like say I eat the KFC, my mindset, is it a mindset thing? Is it because my hormones are low? Or how do I, like, distinguish between...
It could be both, actually. So say you did have low hormones, right? It's like, you're going to have all those symptoms of, like, brain fog, fatigue, low motivation, low drive. So it's like, know, in that case, there's someone that actually have the like the capacity to make these big changes because they're just so fatigued. Just getting out of bed and going to work and getting to a day of work is really, really hard. Let alone trying to be like, all right, now that I've finished my 12-hour shift at work, I'm going to go home. I'm going to cook myself a like nice healthy dinner and you know, do all that when they're just so fatigued. They're just all they want to do is go to bed. And so it's like, okay, instead of doing that, they might have gone to Macca's, got the easy option, and now they feel worse about themselves. So it's nearly like a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way, if that makes sense.
So the hormones could, I guess, like set you down the track.
It can, yeah, because when it's like when men have low hormones, like the level of fatigue is catastrophic. Like it's like they really struggle. So you know,
really,
yeah. But you also get.
How can we struggle in that? Like really struggle? Is it not like compared? What's this compared to, like girls in that kind of sense, or?
So, as in, if we have low hormones, do we struggle in that sense?
Yeah.
Women's hormones are interesting because yes, and we struggle if hormones are too low. We struggle if the hormones are too high as well. But then women have this whole extra thing where we go through perimenopause where we have all our hormones doing their thing, and then our body's like, all right, now that you're a certain age, we're just not going to do this anymore, and you're just going to struggle for about 5 years until your body recalibrates, and then you're going to be all good. Okay. So women struggle as well, but it's in a little bit of a different way.
Okay. Yeah. Going back a little bit, what's like the dangers of like ignoring them?
I mean, you're not going to feel good. I mean, like I said, all the physical symptoms that I listed off. Your body composition will change, and so I think that can impact your mental health as well. So when testosterone is low in men tend to gain weight around the middle, so they kind of get that belly fat.
Okay.
Belly fat then produces estrogen because fat cells are like hormone creating cells as well.
Okay.
Testosterone, then you get this weight gain. You can be doing everything right as well. You could be eating well, you could be exercising, you could be sleeping well. And just because you're like testosterone, you'll be putting on this weight. Then that's going to increase your estrogen, and your estrogen is going to increase, and then you can develop, you know, like for lack of a better word, like man boobs. And I think from a like mental health point of view, then you're not going to feel great about yourself, and that can really impact, you know, just the way you move through the world. Yeah, I
didn't know about that.
Actually, this is something I wanted to mention. So speaking of, you know how I was talking about plant estrogens?
Yes.
So beer contains hops, and hops is what I use for perimenopausal women who have low estrogen, because it's really high in estrogen. So you know how you see certain men who drink a lot of beer, and they have like that beer belly and like for lack of a better word, man boobs. That's because they're drinking a lot of hops and a lot of plant estrogens. So just so everyone knows, it might not be the best option.
It's weird to think that's gone in the background, and a lot of people just thinking they're having a beer.
And they have no idea that there are like so it's called feminizing. So like they're feminizing their bodies.
Like concerning if like we see the symptoms and we just try and push through.
I don't think you'd be able to push through, to be honest. Like with the level of fatigue and the level of brain fog and memory issues, often men struggle to like find words. So you're actually just not able, when it coming back to the performance aspect, you just can't. Like it's just, but then it impacts relationships as well, because your libido basically disappears. And that impacts, like I'm not a man, but I know like that's a really important form of like intimacy and connection for men. So then that goes, and then relationships get impacted. Then you're kind of losing, you know, then there's that social aspect as well. So I think it's really hard for men to push through.
Wow.
Like this is like the barriers are too big.
Because what I see a lot around social media is all that is like, you know, get up, go to the gym, do this, and it's very like, you know, if you're not living that way, you're kind of weak and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's so true. Actually, that's a really good point. And it's just then it's like that societal aspect that's going to make you feel bad.
And that's why I was wondering, because, you know, I did a little, and I was kind of building my program, and one thing like changed like my whole program, and it was the capacity to do something. And you know, I was going to teach them like the mindset, you know, time management, all this kind of stuff. But one thing that I guess it was stemmed from was the capacity to actually do something. So I was always curious if someone was, I guess, had a lot of willpower and all that, could they just push through?
Yes, but it wouldn't be easy. And I think over time, like they've just continued kind of to deplete their bodies and feel worse and worse. It'd be quite cool actually in your program to kind of have an aspect where it's like to support you in moving through mental blocks and barriers. It's like these are certain like supplements or herbs that you can take to kind of like support hormones or support your cortisol and adrenals and things like that. So then if that is an aspect, it's like they're going to be supported in that and they're actually going to feel better and then they can do the things. Yeah.
At the start, like baby steps, like you might not have the, I guess, like the capacity to, you know, run marathons, run a company and all this kind of stuff, but maybe you have to do this and then slowly work that up.
Just to touch on that quickly, even from my perspective as a woman, I know I've recently started running because I'm a millennial. And so when you're a millennial, you kind of start running for fun for some reason. So it's only been the last 6 months, and all I was doing was running like 3Ks on the treadmill at the gym prior to going to signing up for a 10K fun run. So I was like, yep, cool. Signed up for a 10K fun run and did like no training. And there was a guy that comes into work and he's in his 60s. He runs like marathons. He's super fit. And he kept asking me, he's like, have you trained? And I'm like, no, not yet. And he kept asking me. And then one day he's like, you know what, just come out for a run with me. And I was like, okay, that really scares me because he's actually really good at running. But I was really surprised by having someone who kind of like pushes you a little bit in 3Ks. And then I kind of got up to that 10K run, did that. It's like, you know, now I'm moving up to 16K runs and then half marathons and then, you know, eventually I'll get there. So it's like the mental barrier side of things, you know, having like a program where you kind of push people a little bit, not too much so it's re-traumatizing, but just a little bit, and then supporting them and celebrating them in their achievements is actually really helpful. Because I've gone.
I want to touch it. So let's like say someone's like done all the research, they've talked to you, and now they're aware of their situation. What are their like? How they go about working towards, just working on it towards like better?
Yeah. So I personally think having regular check-ins with my clients is really important. Because then it's like there's that level of accountability. Because it's nearly like, you know, if I'm like, all right, these are the things you need to do, send them out to the world, and then I never see them again. It's like they might do it for 2 weeks, and then kind of those old habits kind of creep back in. Life creeps back in, and then they fall off the bandwagon, and so there's no accountability there. But it's like, you know, I'll see you in a month's time, and then we'll kind of check in and see where you're at. It's nearly like, you know, from a psychological point of view, it's like, oh, I'm seeing my naturopath in 2 weeks' time. I better do the things. Not kind of tell them off or anything like that, but it's like it kind of helps you to kind of stay accountable. So that's, I think, with a program for yourself, that's, you know, having someone to like check in with and, you know, like a community that's really good for that accountability.
What's your thoughts on a little bit of time about, I'm curious, because I've asked a couple people this, you know, AI is coming in and all that kind of stuff. Should they be using this for advice? Or
a lot of people are self-prescribing with AI, but AI doesn't have the ability to be nuanced with the person. So,
sorry, could you explain what that means? Like nuance?
So for me as a naturopath, I look at people as an individual. So it's like, you know, someone could come, like 2 people could come in with the same issue. Say as an example, 2 people come in with low testosterone. They'll leave with completely different treatment plans, completely different supplements, because it's like, okay, so what's going on for that person? Like, how are they sleeping? What's their diet? What other factors have they got going on? Do they have, you know, low nutrients? What are we looking at here? And based on that, we'll come up with a protocol that's perfect for them. So AI doesn't have that nuance. It'll be like, you know, you can type in AI, I have low testosterone, what do I do? And it's going to give you some things, but is that the right thing for that person? Has it factored in what your thyroid function is doing? Has it factored in that you've got maybe low vitamin D? Has it factored in your gut health? You know what I mean? So you're not going to get as much out of it as you would by seeing someone who's studied it and seen a lot of people and knows the nuance that comes with it. The other issue can be, especially with self-prescribing supplements, is getting poor quality ones too. Not dosing correctly, getting sub-therapeutic dosing, so it's not going to actually do its job either.
And some work and all that kind of stuff. Are you able to share, like, I guess, like a case study of like what it was like to have those changes, like before and after?
I'll do one with a young man with he was in his 20s. He came in for, I can't actually remember, but through testing, it turned out that he had quite low testosterone, which is actually really common in young men. Low testosterone, declining testosterone levels is actually a real issue in modern day society because of those xenoestrogens we were talking about. So he had low testosterone. So we worked on that with Shilajit and a particular magnesium product that has certain nutrients in it. Retested in 3 months' time, and his testosterone had doubled. It was actually amazing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was really cool.
And what was, I guess, like his persona and that before and after?
Yeah. It helped with his energy, helped with his confidence, helped with his ability to kind of like navigate stress.
Yeah.
He was able to manage his stress better.
Yeah.
It was really cool. You kind of like came in from being kind of like, it's really interesting when men have low T, that their body language is very different to when their testosterone's good. Like,
Really?
it's like, you can kind of see it.
It's weird how you can just I guess pick up on that stuff just from first meeting. But
Yeah, notice it yourself when you kind of like maybe see people who are a little bit more closed in. Like it's like not always a hormone thing, but testosterone has in confidence in men. It's like you really can see, like people who are like high flying men who are like CEOs and they're kind of top of the world. They're always like kind of confident and like not afraid to be seen, right? Yeah.
Well, why is that? Like, because it's just we have all that energy. We just guess
it impacts your neurotransmitters.
Okay.
Yeah. So obviously, like the chemicals in your brain that kind of modulate mood. There's a connection there as well.
Yeah, it's quite crazy because there's so many hormones is not the only thing you deal with, but it's like just from this conversation, it can literally like change someone's like identity from like someone small and like not confident to someone or that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, I see it in women as well.
Yeah.
When you kind of support the hormones, it like changes people's lives.
Yeah.
Like it really does.
Yeah.
But it's if that's a fact that's not optimal, it's going to make it really hard.
Yeah. With your line of work, the thing you're most happy with.
So with my line of work, what I love most about it is how I treat the person as an individual, and how I look at the root cause of the problem. So I don't do any band-aid treatments. I don't be like, all right, you come in with this issue, let's just kind of like, give you this symptomatic treatment and you have to keep taking that product forever to feel good. It's like, what do we actually need to do to bring restoration to the body? So eventually you might need to start off with, a few supplements in your protocol to kind of bring that balance. But the goal is always to get that balance in the body, and we take products away so they don't need it anymore and they're just feeling amazing.
Experiences and all that. Do you feel like, I guess, at like a optimal level where you can manage all, like obviously because you work with people and all that, do you think there's like a set point where like enough knowledge and all that someone can take and be on their own and even teach themselves?
Yeah. I think with the way that I navigate working with people, I like to educate as well. So even, when I'm going through people's blood results, like I often give them, reference ranges to look at and like how to support that. So, eventually they can go to the doctors themselves. They'll know what tests to ask for. They can look at those tests and kind of interpret them themselves and be like, oh, this is a bit low. Maybe I need to include a little bit more vitamin D in my diet or things like that. Because the goal is to always be like, they don't need me anymore. So I feel like I've done my job well if I can discharge my client. I mean, people will pop in and out as things come up because, we're humans and things are always changing. But I like to empower and educate my clients so that they don't need me anymore.
I think that's like a big thing because one thing for my program, I hopefully one day is like, I've hit a lot of like, walls and bumps and all that kind of stuff. But the biggest thing is like eventually I would want someone who can like take over the company and take over and like be able to, I guess, I want to create like this chain effect, and that's how I was curious in that. So let's say if you were talking, do you have a daughter? What would like, or even yourself, if you were to picture yourself, at the start of your journey to like where you are, and you had, I guess, 30 days to get to where you were, what would be the steps in that 30 days to get to where you are?
Is that in regards to a health perspective
or
like
your journey?
Oh, that's a really good question because my health journey's been all over the place.
But you got these words now. So what would be like obviously, like I said, we hit bumps and that. What would be it now if you could go back? What would be like the streamline?
Stress management, 100% stress management.
Stress management.
100%. Yeah. And I think with the nature of modern day living, everybody's under like extreme amounts of stress, and it's honestly catastrophic. It impacts like the whole body, like your mental health, your gut, your hormones, like all of it. So it would definitely be stress management.
So on day one, your stress management.
Be like you know, like these are the things you need to do. But then that ties into sleeping well, because that's part of stress management. Eating well, because that's part of stress management. So I think if you were to kind of break it down into a really easy digestible thing, you think about diet, exercise, stress, and sleep. Those 4 things. Like these are the 4 things we all need to kind of make sure are working quite well. They're the basics.
Yeah.
And you've got those 4 things right, you're pretty much smooth sailing.
Smooth sailing, just those things.
Yeah.
And how would you teach them in 30 days?
Oh, that's a good question. So in 30 days, I do like to keep things simple. So we'd kind of work on diet first. So it'd be like get enough protein.
Yeah.
Yeah, so have protein at each meal, 1.2 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilo of body fat. Eating enough veggies, so 600 grams of non-starchy veg, because vegetables, plants are amazing.
Yeah.
It'd be eating oily fish 3 times a week, so salmon, mackerel, anchovies, herring, and sardines.
Yeah.
They're the basics.
Yeah. So you got diet?
Yeah. And so they're all pretty bite-sized, easy to do things to implement, right?
Yeah.
Then it's like exercise, keep it simple, doesn't have to be hard. Even if you go for a walk 3 times a week, that's doing something. But it's like ideally you want to be doing weight training 3 times a week, maybe a little bit of like high intensity interval training once to twice a week. If you can do that, you're laughing. Sleep can be tricky, but it's like basic sleep hygiene. So an hour or 2 hours before bed, turn off your overhead lights, no blue lights, so no phones, computers, TVs, overhead lights, orange light. Watch the morning sunrise, watch the evening sunset, do things like that kind of support your like sleep hormones. And what about diet, exercise, stress, and then stress. That's a hard one to teach in 30 days. So you've done those other 3 things, so that you're most of the way there. In all honesty, I think with stress, I personally think magnesium is something that most people need. Magnesium is amazing for managing stress. So I'd just be like, look, just take a magnesium supplement, because that's just within 2 weeks you're going to feel amazing.
Magnesium supplement.
Magnesium's phenomenal. Most people walk out of my clinic with magnesium.
To counter stress.
Yeah.
Okay.
The reason being, when we're stressed or when we're anxious, our body dumps magnesium. We urinate it out, and then we have a magnesium deficiency, which makes our stress and anxiety worse. So then by having a magnesium supplement, you're topping your magnesium levels up, and it really helps to soothe the nervous system.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, so we're coming to the end. If you could give one piece of advice or something you would like to leave with my audience, what would that be?
That's a really good question. One piece of advice is don't be afraid to ask for help. There's so many resources out there. So, if you want to kind of move forward in your life, like touch base with your community. I think community is really important. Particularly in places like Kalgoorlie, where, sometimes people can feel really lonely and really isolated. Like, maybe reach out and try a new hobby, do park run on a Sunday and kind of meet people. And I think, the community aspect of health is really important when it comes to like mental health and that kind of thing. So like basically don't be afraid to ask for help.
For sure. All right. Well, that's us for today.
All right, cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, really appreciate it.